what inspired you, Ms. Hundley, to run this time?
Oh, Karen, you said a lot of things just now that have everything to do with why I'm running. It's pretty simple. I couldn't sit idly by anymore while our right to vote and women's rights and everything that we supposed to stand for in this democracy go down the drain. We are dealing with people on the other side of the aisle called Republicans that are very extreme right now and are trying to take our country all the way down. We can't allow that to happen. So, what am I to do? I love uh, good government, the way that government should work for and with the people, because it's supposed to be for, of, and by the people. We know that a lot of people in our country have not had the benefits of all those beautiful rights and privileges that are afforded to others. And I think something that you're seeing a lot, and we've had to really see up close and personal with no denying it, is how privilege has worked so well for some and just not worked at all for others. So it's about time Donald Trump gets raided. That's that's the nice political answer. I hope that we will see justice in that case. But we got bigger issues to deal with that have to do with, of course, some of the things that he unearthed that have been already there just under the surface of our country that we've got to deal with now, and we've got to deal with it big time. And so while we have these leaders that are trying to lead us down a path, we got here because we didn't do our part. And I'm not speaking for those of us who I might be preaching to the choir, who vote and who are active and participants in keeping our democracy, but I am talking to the people who have the ability, the eligibility, who are registered, and who just decide for whatever reason they don't want to vote. So for me, it all comes down to the vote and what you're voting for.
Evangeline, can I call you Evangeline? Is that?
Please do.
Oh, perfect. So I listen. Let me tell you a couple of things that I love about you. I love that your slogan is healthier, a wealthier, and a wiser community for South Carolina. I think that's great. So I think it's going to be important to discuss why we need wiser. But my
wait, pause. You got to sit in that.
Oh, you heard that before, right, Karen?
I've heard it somewhere before.
Somewhere, like in your write-up, maybe.
Maybe. I appreciate that.
I'm so sorry to just jump right in, but I got this. It was like kindred spirit. I knew right off. We were soul sisters from different Mrs. and Misters. But I will tell you this. When I read that, it was really me trying to find a way to hook my sister up to watch this. And then I ran across it. I said, oh my God, when she sees this, she's going to say, oh Lord. But I read an article years ago about why blue states are healthier, wealthier, and wiser. And I said to myself, a whole lot of reasons. So the article was great, but I said, that's what I want for my state. And the people in my state, family, friends, those I see on the street that I know need better representation. Somebody who just cares. So healthier, wealthier, and wiser, that covers it all. And then when I read that, I knew it.
But here's the thing, here's the thing about you though that I think is really interesting. And I also think it's going to be really important that you push to the forefront of your campaign is that you're not just you have some storied history. Your father owned the first Black barbershop, right? Yes. So you come from a background of Black ownership. You delved into real estate, which ended up becoming hugely successful for you. You've been a single mom, which I'm curious about how Antonio feels about this whole thing for you, because I'm sure that that's really exciting. But how do you take these really everyday layman things that we understand, like Black ownership and investing in homes and being a single mom, how do you put that to the forefront of your campaign so that you're able to really connect with those individuals that need to get out and vote?
Thank you for that question, Tyler. I'm saying that correct, right, Tyler?
Yeah,
I,
that's the one. That's me.
my brother, Tyler Merritt. I tell you, Tyler, everything I do is at the forefront of and for who I am. You know, my culture as well as the culture of this country. I mean, health is for the least of these, in which I feel that we were put on this earth to serve. And so, in serving as a representative, when you talk about healthcare for all in a state that ranks at the bottom of for access to healthcare, for outcomes of healthcare, for cost of healthcare, then you know who's suffering the most. So you have to know that when I say healthcare for all as the top of priority of my platform, I'm talking about reaching into communities who need that type of help. And it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg, that's freely available to them, that can help them be better people. Wellness is what's so important, but mental, physical is the holistic way of looking at it. So, healthcare, living wages, I know that the people that even I've experienced it, I've had to use services that government had when I was a single mother. So I know that that is important. But I can tell you when I stood in that line, it was less people that looked like me than like others that
Mhm.
uh, usually don't get recognized as people who need those things. But everyone who doesn't make living wages or have family paid leave or child care tax credit or universal pre-K need every single thing. So those big items are the things that will help all our communities.
Mm.
And that is what's so important. So I take that to the people who really need it and the communities that are being deprived. And while we got $8.8 billion from that rescue plan and $6 billion from the infrastructure plan, my job, as I see it as a representative, which we don't have now, is to make sure that the monies are being spent where they're supposed to be spent in the areas that have the most need. And this is what is not happening now because the person I'm running against, really, I don't know why he's in office. He doesn't do anything. It's all no's all the time.
Shots fired.
I would not
Yeah.
get
Listen,
yeah,
it's super important. First of all, you won your primary. And the next district, sixth district, is the district. Oh my goodness. The
Yes,
Clyburn's district.
Congressman Jim
And
Clyburn.
and South Carolina, which I have Geechee roots, so I'm very mindful of that. Mother Manuel, you have so much rich, as you mentioned, culture. It was a port city, a breeding state, you
Was
know,
great.
um,
Yes,
for Africans, and it had the most population, still does, one of the largest populations of Black people.
nearly 30%, Karen.
Yes. So that we don't have the health and we don't have the attention and that money. That's one of the things I want to do here on the show is how many of these states are just holding on to money and not dispersing it to the people, because that's the people's money. And so
Absolutely.
if that's your job, what is the biggest obstacle you have facing you in November, Evangeline Hundley, to get elected? Because you have some numbers.
Yes. Okay. So the biggest obstacles I see, really, I've got the perfect candidate to run against. While
Mm.
he may be able to get those big dollars from corporations, I need that in order to be able to drown out his voice. Okay. So raising the funds is so very important to campaigning. It's just a part of the beast. But the message I gotta send is a message that should reach through to every single person in this state. I got a question for South Carolina. Are you tired of being on the bottom?
Mm.
Because I sure am. And there's only one way that we change that, Karen. So that's a twofold answer. One is going to be the money. Two, so that my voice can be heard, the truth can be told. We can stop living the lies that we live. For lack of knowledge, people shall perish. So we need to now be about the business, if nothing else, that this voice gets heard, to let the people know good government can work for you. So the biggest obstacle outside of money is two more. One, I kind of put these two equal, and that is voter participation. We got to get people out to vote. So the money may equip me to be able to reach more people so that I can let them know if they don't vote, it's over. This election is the most important election. We hear it all the time. But if anyone is paying attention, and most people aren't, they would know that there has been a concerted effort for many, many years to destroy the ability to vote and people's rights, and they're making good waves at it. So if I could do one thing, it would be to get people, voters, in the mindset that you got to vote like Republicans. Vote when you lose, vote when you win. Vote, 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 and stop being so in need of immediate gratification. If you
Yes.
don't get it the first time, then it's over.
Right.
So motivating the people to vote is the one of the biggest issues that I do have to deal with.
Can I ask you
Well,
a quick question
Obstacle.
what would you tell your people that are voting that why it's important to vote in district elections? If you could just
Oh,
put it down to a simple
yes.
answer,
Okay.
why would it be important for people to vote in district elections?
Okay. Back to your question, Karen, it's the money and how it relates to connect the dots to the people. So, with good representation, I'm going to be able to make sure that that 8 billion and 6 billion are directed into the areas that they can be that should be directed in, and it's going to be, this is how it's going to work. What prevents us from doing that now, Karen, is we have a big red wall. That red wall includes, okay, so we've got Clyburn, the only one out of 7 representatives in our state. With the population that we have, we vote 45-55, Democrat, Republican, yet our representation is 90% Republican. That's all about the gerrymandered lines. On
and
another
90% white. Well, so
Correct.
we have less than
Right.
a minute and a half. So
Right.
could you
So
stick
we
around?
got
Could you stick around after? Could you stick around like for 10 minutes? Okay, because I want to
definitely.
ask you about Tim Scott, which I didn't want to waste your time
We
to
got to
ask you
get rid
about.
of him.
But there's something wrong with us, and I want you to delve into it. And those of you who are in South Carolina, if you're in the 5th district, early vote. The deadline to register in person is the 7th of October. The deadline to register, you can register online. You can register online October 9th. You can register by mail. October 11th is the deadline. Get as many people to register to vote as possible. They're playing games with our vote. Make sure you're registered. Check the voter rolls. Make sure you're elected. I mean, excuse me,
And
that
vote
you're
Democrats up and
vote.
down the ticket. We got to get rid of
Yes,
that Republican governor. That is what's going to make this money work that comes from the
facts.
federal governor,
And,
state house. Get rid of them.
and I wanted to ask you about the gentleman Cunningham who's been on this show,
Yes.
what chance he has, but also early voting. They have early voting in South Carolina, October
Yes, we
25th.
do.
You can vote early. You can vote. You can get vote by mail. October 28th is a deadline to request a ballot. So I'm letting you
Can we
know.
put my website in there?
We're going to put everything up. We're going to tweet it out because you're sticking around. So you have chance. If you stick around, we're going to talk with Evangeline Hundley about all of these things when we come back. Evangeline
Wow.
Hundley4Congress.com. We were talking off mic. Tim Scott, if Trump somehow dodges this bullet, and if he dodges this bullet, he's going to be president. If he dodges this FBI raid and there's no indictment, no arrest, no conviction, he's running again. I think he's going to pick Tim Scott as his running mate, or Nikki Haley, both from South Carolina, by the way.
Bad.
And I think that ticket will win because this country is so strange. And we were talking off mic because Tim Scott's Black. So how is the country racist? Well, racism is weird, and they like Black people as long as those Black people fit the trope that they like Black people being in. So Herschel Walker is excellent. He is exactly what they think all Black men are. And Tim Scott, excellent, another one. And Clarence Thomas, another one. And when I say that, it's somebody that placates and doesn't make waves, knows to jump off the curb, knows to avert their eyes, knows to say yes them and no them. Talk to me. You're
Okay.
South Carolina too.
So yeah, I am. And here's what I'm thinking. I heard recently that question asked, can Black people be white supremacists? Right? You use the word racist, right? That's good. It fits. white supremacists? And the answer is yes. Yes, they can. Well, the definition, as you know, a simple definition of white supremacy is that the white race is a more what intelligent. It is the superior race. It is the race that supersedes all races. It is just number one, and everything else is inferior. Okay, white supremacy. They rule. They're number one. That's the whole thing. They are better than every other race. Well, you say, well, can a black man or another race be white supremacist? Yes, because they too believe. Hear me, black people who are white supremacists. It means that you too think you're less than the white man and that they are a superior race to you. So that is the state of mind of a black or person of color's mentality. It's unfortunate because I don't think they realize that the whole thinking behind their behavior is that they don't think well of themselves. And they actually do believe that white men are supreme. So it's kind of sad. So yeah, racism, it goes on.
or or
Okay,
or
right?
or that they somehow are the magical Negro. They're the
Hmm.
exception. They may
True.
agree with all of the premises that you just laid out, but that somehow they're the exception. They're the
Mm.
exceptional Negro. So,
That's
I'm
true.
not like them. And they'll even have so-called white people tell them, you're not like the others. And they use that as a badge of honor that they ride into success, which is
Right.
interesting.
I think power, the understanding the power piece of this is important. I think looking back, we think about the fact that there are Negroes that lived in the house during the slave days and
Yeah.
who felt like they had a certain power, and that power put them above other individuals, and they would do whatever they can to attach to that power. Um, I have to say this, and first of all, I'll tell you, Angeline, it is bold of you to be running for office and to say the things that you just said in a way that with conviction, right? But I think this ties into the humanity of who you are, right? And I think that's going to need to be really important for voters as they go in and vote this time around, is
Yes.
attaching to people that have real humanity. The reason why you could never be Tim Scott is because of the history that you come from, the
Right.
things that you've seen.
Right.
And I think that's important in your story as people get to know you more as a candidate.
Yes. Thank you. I would think, though, the things that Tim saw would have made him a better person, meaning that he tells the story of how his granddad used to take him to the poll, to vote, and how I think he even remembers him telling him how he couldn't vote. And so it's a baffling thing
Mm.
to me to know
Power.
yeah,
Power is a
power.
damnable drug. It is
Yeah.
such an intoxicating thing.
Power.
Power is it's a 866-801-8255. Evangeline Hundley is running for the 5th district in South Carolina. One of our Nubians wanted to know what your relationship is with Jim Clyburn. How would you work with him in the 6th district? Do y'all come together like Voltron? Do y'all Wonder Twin power
Yeah.
activate? Like, what happens?
I love that Voltron reference, because that is exactly how I imagine it. I have met so many people across the counties in this state that I'll represent that are missing that representation. And because they like to draw these lines in certain ways, Jim and I, Congressman Clyburn and I, with respect, we share the line. We share a big part of our district together. So he's got a mega section. I have a mega part. I'll be representing up to 1 million people, and then he has probably a few more than that. So together, it would be a powerhouse situation where we could really make this a difference in this state. And the district that I'm in now, for 28 years, it was John Spratz, who was a Democrat and who actually did a lot of great things. He got taken out by that Tea Party wave when it came through, when Barack Obama got elected. Then the next 2 years, he lost his seat. But there are people that I met in this district who had some things going on. It was more progressive, more accepting, growing in the right way because we had somebody looking out. I mean, we border North Carolina, and North Carolina is called a what? Purplish state. So it doesn't make sense that this part of South Carolina would be deeply red. It's not. And there are people who are missing services, they're missing that representation, and they need it. So together we would be able to do great things for this state. So my relationship is one that I look to nurture and grow and become very strong in our cause and what we're going to do with the state.